Welcome to Sailing Saoirse. I'm Teagan. My parents sold our house, sold their business, and bought a 38-foot island spirit catamaran with the goal to travel the world. This is Colben, my husband, Karen, my mum, Denver, my brother, and Robin, my dad. Together we make up Sailing Saoirse. We were anchored in Falmouth for almost 5 weeks, and the marine life that we experienced off of the back of the boat was just something out of our wildest imaginations. We saw eagle rays jumping, tons of turtles feeding, and even the occasional stingray swimming under the boat. Colben and I headed out for an early morning hike, and we tied the dinghy up to the dinghy dock that's off of Pigeon Beach. Colben and I came up to the little peak that is right at Pigeon Beach in Falmouth. We needed some alone time, so we came up at sunrise, and it was beautiful. Such a good way to start the day. And it's just stunning weather. It's supposed to be race week, but there is just no wind. So I doubt we'll see any boats anytime soon. But we are happy we did get up a little bit earlier before coffee. Oh my gosh, I haven't stopped hearing about the coffee and lack thereof. So we're heading back to the boat to have our morning coffee now. We had met Gary and Bev on sail yacht Teagan, who we had been chatting with online for the last couple of weeks before arriving at Antigua. They fast became really good friends and are just amazing people. They are actually the parents of a friend of mine that I went to school with in high school, and their son Chad was actually flying out to see them. This was super exciting for Colben and I because we hadn't seen a friend from home in over a year. We did the mandatory beach sundowners because how can you not when you've got a view as beautiful as this? Within a very short period of time, we had to say goodbye to Ben and Jen on Cariad, Ingrid and Chris on Puff, and Zephyros. They were all headed up to St. Martin to head across to the Azores. And next was Gary, Bev and Chad on Toucan, who headed up to North Sound to haul their yacht out for hurricane season and head home. There were 2 days while we were in Falmouth that the sargasso weed came straight into the bay, but luckily it passed within a few hours, but it was quite something to see.
Incredible amount of sargasso weed that's just come through here. The water is so still. We are just surrounded.
We were anchored in Falmouth for probably 5 weeks, and we can count on one hand how many times we didn't swim in those 5 weeks. The water was always just so beautiful and so cool. You couldn't resist not getting in at least once a day, if not more. This eagle ray even swam right under us while we were floating around in our tubes on the water.
It's got the longest tail. It's good.
The water was so clear some days that you could literally count the stones under the boat.
Come up right here. Oh, come on, beautiful. Up here.
When my parents put the underwater lights on their boat, this is the kind of activity we expected to see throughout the Caribbean. But Antigua was the first place that we got turtles swimming towards the underwater lights. It was so beautiful to see. Denver, Colben and my mum went for their final hike with Van, a friend that lives in Antigua, who is also a fellow South African. from the get-go, Colben's Yacht Master was just a bugger up. We needed to be in Antigua to pick up his online theory pack, which came with the almanac and the maps and everything. He went into the sailing school, I'm not going to mention names, and first of all, they gave him the wrong pack. It wasn't the Yacht Master. The lady was like, oh, so sorry, we're just having one of those days. And we all have one of those days. But this was just the start. Colben headed back to the boat and he started his online theory. So we were so confused because it kept referring to the almanac. So Colben went into the online almanac and he just wasn't seeing the pages he was meant to be seeing, and we kept thinking, okay, this must just be like a trick question, they're just trying to catch you out. So we emailed the lecturer, the online lecturer, because they were supposed to be available 24/7, which they weren't. It would take 24 hours for them to get back to us sometimes. We had to go into the sailing school to do our STCW, so Colben got this stuff about 5 days before the STCW, and he couldn't do anything because the questions weren't making sense and he didn't have an almanac to refer to. So we went into the school and we were like, okay, well, is this a trick question? Please just tell us straight up. And they were like, oh no, there's actually a problem with that website. There are a few pages missing on the online almanac. So we were like, well, thanks for telling us. We've literally spent 4 days trying to figure out if this is a trick question or not, because there's no data to work off of. So that was the first step. So then they gave us an almanac. So then after our STCW, Colben had 10 days before his practical sailing Yacht Master course. So come the day of his Yacht Master practical, he's nervous as all hell, and he heads into the sailing school. I've messaged him, I've wished him luck, I was like, you've got this. And there's him and one other guy on the course. The other guy's an older gentleman, and they shown the school boat, and they say, the instructor says, okay, so go through the boat, check all the safety gear, everything, check the bilges, make sure everything is up to standard and you feel comfortable. So one of the first things they check is the bilge, and there's a problem with it because there's a big crack in the laminate in the fiberglass. So the guy comes back out, the older gentleman, and is like, sorry, but, and it's on the keel. So he comes back out to the instructor and he's like, sorry, what has happened? There is a lot of damage to the fiberglass around the keel. So the instructor says, oh yeah, our students last week actually hit a sandbank and grounded the boat. They hadn't even checked the boat. So after freaking 10 stressful days of trying to get Colben as prepared as possible, he gets to this shambles of a mess. The older gentleman refuses to go out in that boat, and it's the only available boat to do it on. So Colben calls me and he's like, oh, the course is cancelled. And my heart just dropped. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, they must make a plan, they must find a boat, they must rent a boat, but obviously with the RYA, everything has to be to standard, even though their boat wasn't. So after, I think it was 12 hours, they decided to hand Colben over to another RYA school, which is pretty new in Antigua, and this is second star sailing. Amazing, like, they are great. But they were 3 days into the Yacht Master practical training, and it was the soonest one Colben can join. So now Colben joined 3 days in. And the last day, Yacht Master practical exam. Goes and writes practical exam for the next 24 hours with the school boat, and then we'll know if it's a yay or nay. And yeah, he passed. They work you up to a freaking absolute mess. Colben was messaging me. He was like, I've never hated sailing so much in my life. They are pushing our limits. They're stressing us out. Obviously, the instructors try and put you under a high amount of stress to see how you react to the circumstances they're putting you under. But Colben said that the actual final 24-hour exam practical was so chilled. The first thing he asked for when getting back to the boat after completing his prac was an ice-cold rum. Yeah. Officially a Yacht Master.
Well done.
Smells good. Couple years old.
Is that Saoirse champagne? What is it?
We've got
Is that from your wedding?
No.
Yeah.
We've got lobster and wine and garlic sauce, spicy rice, basil pesto, peas, and spinach. Do you think we feel like we're lacking greens or something?
I think so.
So well done.
Well done.
Yeah, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
You look so happy with life.
This was a tough couple of weeks.
After all the stress of the Yacht Master was complete, we started unpacking the boat and trying to get rid of as much stuff as we could. One of the big things we had to get rid of was a ton of clothing. Colben and I needed to start packing up to send suitcases across to the BVRs with another boat that was heading across, and we had to get rid of a lot of stuff. I must say, I found 2 vacuum bags of brand new clothes under our bed that I'd never worn and didn't even know were there. Luckily, we were able to contact a shelter that met us at the dock to pick up all our stuff. Apparently it's very hard work to sort out your fishing stuff. He's got way more than he thought he had. So do you think you blame me for being a shopaholic? I think you are a fishaholic shopperman. We are having to sort out all our stuff. You can see the bags for heading across to our new job. Colben can't leave his fishing stuff behind, so there's lots of sorting going on. We had suddenly decided that maybe it was time to start heading back south and getting Saoirse ready to be hauled out for her final haul out. It was a tough decision, and I'm holding back tears as I speak, but Antigua was a beautiful final destination in our cruising itinerary. Thank you so much for watching with us. These will be our last few episodes that will be coming out over the next few weeks. So stay tuned to see our final miles back south, down the islands, and our final haul out of Saoirse.